Narduzzi and the Pitt Panthers need to step up in 2024. A 3-9 finish in 2023 was very disappointing, though the top 10 returning players that we'll talk about today make things interesting for this season. While the defensive side of the ball took some hits, they still get Donovan McMillan back, and that is a huge return for a defense that, again, was the reason why they won 3 games last year. They were a big reason for their success over the past couple of years, and they're just hoping that the offense can figure things out. They lost a couple of players in the transfer portal, specifically Dayon Hayes, who made comments about that offense. But McMillian coming back is huge. Now, this is someone who did a lot of mop-up duty in 2023, but he's a natural playmaker for this team, someone who can be a big-time factor for this defense. And this is a secondary that will need to find a couple new corners. You need to find some defensive linemen. So the back end of the defense has more guys that you can rely on this year, but it's just a matter of time before finding. I think that new playmakers up front. I think the staff has done a great job of bringing in quality guys to replace that talent. But for now, McMillian is going to be a big reason why they need to rely on this secondary while everyone gets their stuff sorted out. Another guy is Javon McIntyre, a safety who will join McMillian. There's a trio of safeties that we'll talk about today that are really fun to watch, and they will be fun to watch again in 2024. McIntyre had 85 tackles last year, 3.5 tackles for loss, 7 passes defended. He was a big reason why this group finished 42nd in passing yards allowed per game. Again, this secondary is in good hands. Yes, you need some cornerbacks to step up. You need to find replacements for guys like MJ Devonshire. So that's going to be hard to do, but you have the safety position locked down for now. And that means a lot of good things for this group in 2024. Now, in terms of the offense, the quarterback position is going to be the biggest concern, but the playmakers that they have to utilize will be really fun to watch in 2024. Gavin Bartholomew is one of the most underrated players in college football. He's an explosive weapon at tight end. He had just 18 catches last year, but turned that into 326 yards. That's good for 18.1 yards per catch for a tight end. Keep that in mind. Then this is also an offense that's not exactly known for explosive plays. So the fact he's doing that in this offense says a lot. Again, he has been doing this for a few years now. He is someone who continues to fly under the radar. And if they can find a way to get this offense moving at a little bit faster than a snail's pace, you're going to see Bartholomew's stats improve. And hopefully Narduzzi is able to realize that this is a team that needs to go faster because the defense can't do everything. That final safety we'll talk about, PJ O'Brien. You can make an argument that he's the best safety of this group. I would not argue against that. That's just how good this group is. 41 tackles last year, 3 interceptions. Was a ball hawk for this defense. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try to use 3 safeties at a time because that's how talented this group is. And that's maybe what this team will need, especially if the defensive line can't get to the quarterback. Maybe you don't have that guy that can get to the quarterback and make plays where they have time to throw, and that puts a lot of pressure on your defense. Maybe you need to see another safety step up and step onto the field on a more consistent basis, but this is a group that can handle it. Linebacker will also be interesting. Brandon George is back after a solid season, 49 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss. He is a leader of this group, leader of this defense, and he'll be a key player in getting this front group up to speed and getting them ready to go. Because if you do not have a good front 7 or front 6 nowadays, then you're in trouble on the back end. And even though Pitt has what they need on the back end, you need to get to the quarterback. You need to find a way to be disruptive because this is still a team that finished 75th in scoring. This defense needs to play better. Granted, they do need an offense that can support them better at times, but this is definitely a defense that could be an improved group and needs to find a way to battle back and find ways to replace some of those key players. Brandon George is going to be a big player in that process. Narduzzi and his staff did hit the transfer portal, brought in some talented players, and the defensive line is going to need help with that because of the players they lost. A guy like Nate Matlack could be a factor in that regard. 7.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. He is someone that is going to be a factor in the defensive line rotation, and he will probably command a starting spot. With you saw what his production was last year, 6'5", 250 pounds. Again, Deion Hayes, losing him was a big loss, but you get Matlack in. That's a huge addition to that defensive line. That's going to be a really fun guy to watch. And if he is able to have the season that Pitt anticipates, then you're really not going to really miss what Deion Hayes did. So that's something to keep an eye on, someone who could be a big time factor and someone who's going to be really fun to watch for this defense. Again, part of my plea for this offense to stop going so slow and stop being so outdated is because guys like Rodney Hammond Jr. are big time playmakers who are being handcuffed by their own staff. You need to find ways to get him the football more often and in better positions because you cannot run the same offense that you've been running. It's just not going to work. You cannot rely on your defense. You can't win games 17-10 every single time. This is college football where guys are too good. The ACC has too many explosive offenses that are going to exploit you. You need an offense that can compete, and you have talented players to do that. Rodney Hammond Jr. can be explosive. Well, Rodney Hammond Jr. can be a guy who is a big time impact player, and you're not doing yourself any favors by limiting what he can do. He is someone that can do a lot of good things for this offense. You just need to find ways to get him the football. And if you just speed things up, you're going to see that the results speak for themselves. Another guy in that regard is Kanata Mumfield, 576 yards on 44 catches last year, 5 touchdowns. Again, if the quarterback position is struggling, it might be difficult for me to ask this group to go faster. But if the quarterback position can handle it, there's no reason why Pitt can't go at a faster pace. They should be able to handle it. Guys like Mumfield have proven that they can make plays. And this is a passing attack that needs to be better than it was last year. Even though it was the best part of this offense, you still need to find ways to improve because this is an offense that was pretty bad for most of the season. And if the passing attack and the offense can find balance, I should say, but if the passing attack can still improve, then you're going to see the offense as a whole improve as well. Dejon Reynolds is another player that factors into that. Only 28 catches last year, 316 yards, 11.3 yards per catch. Again, this group has talent. It's just a matter of, are you going to allow those guys to do what they do best and make plays, or are you going to limit what they do because you're too stubborn to get with the times? A transfer to keep an eye on is Key Thompson. The Ohio transfer comes in at linebacker after a 93 tackle year, 10 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, 1 forced fumble. He has been a playmaker for the last couple of years for the Bobcats, and he joins a Pitt defense that looks to have him do the same thing. If he's able to step up and make those same kinds of plays in the ACC that he did in the MAC, then Pitt's defense is in good hands. Again, this defense should still be a tough group. Yes, you lost some talent, and that is concerning, but this is still a good group. This is still a really fun and talented roster to watch. And it's just going to come down to what can you do to make your life easier? What can you do to be a more competitive team? And right now, there are things that Pitt can do that are in their control. Some things they can't, but for the most part, there are certain things that they can do. Continue to play tough defense, find an offense that can be relevant in 2024. And if they can do that, then you're looking at a team that's going to be very fun to watch, very tough to beat. And that's going to make this fan base excited about the future of what Narduzzi is going to do with this program.